Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, and welcome to our second Google Hangout today, where we're discussing further study at the University of Strathclyde. This gives you a chance to put your questions to course leader Graham McPhee and John Paul Fitzpatrick. Please feel free to ask any questions using the Google Hangout question bar or use FL Children in hashtag, and we'll pass along as many questions as we can. Without further ado, I will hand over to Graham and John Paul, your hosts today.
Hello and welcome. Thanks for joining us, and a special big welcome to the people that have braved us for the second Google Hangout today, if you're going for the double dose review. But we'll do introductions again because there may be some people who've watching this one or joined us for this one who weren't part of the first one, so we should be proper. So my name's Graham McPhee. I'm based here at the University of Strathclyde in Scotland, and perhaps the biggest relevance for this little session is that I'm course leader on the MSc in Child and Youth Care Studies by Distance Learning.
Hi there, my name's John Paul Fitzpatrick. I work within the Centre for Excellence for Looked After Children in Scotland, also based here within the University of Strathclyde.
Okay. And the purpose of this session is to give people a little bit more information about this programme, the MSc in Child and Youth Care Studies by Distance Learning. So just a very brief introduction about the course. The course is very new. We've just finished our first year, and we'll just have our second intake will be starting in just over a month's time in September. So this is a brand new distance learning course which was developed jointly, developed within the university jointly across the School of Social Work and Social Policy and Celsius, as mentioned earlier by John Paul. And it's got a curriculum. I'm not going to read the brochure off word for word. There's some information on the slides here, but suffice to say it's got a curriculum which is outward facing and international, and it's whilst we're here in Scotland and it's delivered from a Scottish university, it's got a focus and content which has got a relevance for childcare practitioners in any setting in any part of the world.
I think that's one of the strengths, absolute strengths of the course, is the fact that we've got a truly international cohort and that we've paid attention. It's got a very specific set of nuances and influences that run through this course that make it distinct and make it unique, which is part of why I think it has such a broad appeal, because it does speak to that international audience.
And just kind of taking that a little bit further, that kind of how the course speaks to an international audience, it draws on a variety of inputs and disciplines. So over the course of the 2 year, and we'll tell you a little bit more practical information about the course in a couple of minutes, but over the course of the 2 years, students will kind of think about child and youth care, which isn't that surprising given the title of the course, but as well as child and youth care, think about social pedagogy, a very much kind of European tradition of kind of child rearing. They think about kind of other traditions which might be kind of more transferable in terms of sociology, psychology, health, education. We'll also think about social work, we'll think about social policy, and about how all these different influences and traditions come together in a variety of different ways to influence the way in which children are cared for and looked after in different settings. And very much a focus on students being encouraged to think about how the material applies to them in their setting. So let's link that into the kind of learning and teaching in the first instance, because it's a completely distance learning programme. What can students expect to experience in the course of being on the course? Well, with it being so important point to stress at the beginning is it's completely distance learning. There's no requirement to come to Glasgow, to come to the University of Strathclyde. So it's accessible to all students or all potential students, regardless of where they're located. What do students do on a week-to-week basis? There's a range of online materials for them to engage with. There's reading, which won't really come as any surprise, hopefully, for a university-based master's course. There's inputs for them to access via video or via podcast, which will sometimes be recorded and delivered by people in here within the university, but a range of outside speakers from a variety of different settings.
So if I'm interested in doing the course, what technologically am I going to need then to be able to do it?
You need a reliable computer with sufficient processing capability to run applications such as Adobe Reader, Windows Media Player, Adobe Connect, etc. So you need there's no point kind of being about the business. You need a good enough computer to access and run the material. You also need an excellent, reliable broadband connection, and that links really nicely into the other part of the course in terms of what students can experience, and that's the live weekly online seminars. Because I think we'd be concerned if we had a child and youth care programme which was purely about students just reading things and watching things on their own and not interacting with each other. So how do students interact with each other? Well, we have forums and such like, and there's a lot of interaction there, but once a week we use Adobe Connect, which is a piece of software which is provided by the university. The students don't need to buy anything for this. They need their computer for the processing, they need their reliable broadband, and they need a headset and a microphone so that they can log in. And we bring everybody together once a week in a virtual classroom setting, and the students can see each other, and the staff members are there teaching and leading the process. And we have weekly live online seminars where students reflect on and give inputs on the material that's came from the week before.
It sounds like a massive explosion of cultures and worlds in that virtual classroom.
It's a fantastic process. It's a fantastic experience, and the way we experienced this last year is some students been a bit hesitant to begin with, because we've all got different degrees of comfort with the online world and being on webcams and such like. So, but quite quickly everybody gets used to being in there, and we've got different accents to deal with. On the first intake of the course, we've had students from North America, from Ireland, from Scotland, from Wales, from Australia, from Africa. So 7 kind of very different geographical regions with very different accents.
Absolutely. But what an amazing learning opportunity to learn from different cultural and diverse experiences across the globe. That's amazing.
And what we've experienced over the first year of the programme, and we were fairly sure this would happen, and it's actually been kind of borne out in reality, is that students may be in different places, well, they're in different places, they're working in different sorts of settings, but when they begin to get input on child development, when they begin to get input on attachment, containment, management, leadership, effective communication, what the students quickly discover is that when you strip away that specific context, they're all dealing with children who've got similar sorts of experiences, similar sorts of issues. They're all working in agencies and staff teams who are experiencing similar sorts of issues. They're often all working as part of a profession that is experiencing similar sorts of issues in relation to political values and budgets and political direction, etc. And so these geographical differences disappear
completely,
as the group becomes this kind of kindred spirit. Now, linking that back to your question about the technological requirements, these live online sessions have been hugely important for the students in the first year of the programme. So it does emphasise that for people thinking about applying to the programme, that they would have to give real consideration to, do I have the technological capability to log into the system? Now, the live online sessions, just as because we're thinking about the countries I just listed there, time zones all over the place. So we recognise that not everybody might be able to attend every class. The live online sessions are recorded. Those recordings are put on the course site. So if you're a student and you can't attend that session,
I can access it later on,
and so you can watch and listen to the discussions that were going on, so you don't miss the class as it happened. And the other important thing about those live online sessions, which may come as a surprise to some people or not, given the fact that students don't physically meet, is that we've seen a real sense of cohort and camaraderie develop, because students on a weekly basis are in the same place, interacting with each other, and you see the relationships begin to develop, and the conversations and the jokes and the other bits, which are an important part of that education process.
And I think think about another institution in Scotland, I might add, negative experience of distance learning. I found it quite lonely, but that sounds quite appealing because you've got that broad mix of opportunities to interact, so it reduces the isolation of doing it, because it is a big undertaking, a course of this nature. But that sense of being involved with a class, a virtual class, and being able to have those discussions would probably be very useful and very helpful.
Yeah, and so if you remember that's a component that doesn't exist within the Caring for Vulnerable Children course. That people can interact with us in this Google Hangout session, but they can't have a real-time conversation with us. On the MSc, we're all in the same place at the same time having those conversations.
Brilliant.
Now, thinking about entry requirements, what do people need to think about applying for the course? So it's master's level study, so to be eligible for the course, people require a first degree or something else that's deemed equivalent to that. And it's probably important to emphasise to people that the first degree doesn't necessarily have to be in a childcare related subject,
right.
And that's an important point, because I just want to thank a couple of people for making some comments on the Google Hangout page. Lindsay Fraser, thanks for your comment. You had made the comment that you didn't think you would meet the entry requirements because you have a BA honours degree, incidentally from here at Strathclyde, but not in a related subject. Right. And I've actually replied to you saying that if you've got a first degree then you would be potentially eligible to apply. Now, the other bit about this is a degree that's aimed at people already in practice.
So you need to be attached to a practice setting of some sort?
Yeah. So we encourage people, there's a couple of ways in which you can get more information. Within the Caring for Vulnerable Children page, there's a page giving you more information about the course, and there's a button for you to click this link to get more information, and if you do that, you will get more information. Equally, if you go on the University of Strathclyde website, you can find the course page there. What it says is, to be eligible for this course, you require a first degree, a relevant professional qualification, or a combination of qualifications and experience demonstrating capacity for postgraduate study. The bit that relates to your question here is, you'll also require sufficient access to childcare settings through which you can evidence programme and practice requirements. So that's an important bit about that if you're doing a job that's completely unrelated to childcare, this might not be the programme for you at this point in time. So this is aimed at people who are already in a childcare related setting. And the reason for that is that on a week-to-week basis, and especially during assignments, students are required to draw upon their practice experience and apply that to the material that they're engaging with. So if I just kind of take one example, the second module, which thinks about kind of child development, the assessment is the students doing a case study of a child that they have worked with or are working with. So it's very much about taking their practice experience and applying it to the theoretical material that they're engaging with.
So presumably, if anyone's got any kind of questions about that bit of it in terms of their own work setting and maybe are unsure of the fit with their own situation, the best bet would probably be get in touch with yourself or the course team.
Well, again, there's two ways to do that: contact yourself or via the link on on the site. Press the button, and they will be back in contact with you, kind of following up your registration and interest. But that point about what's relevant experience and not, again, Michelle Myers. Michelle, thanks very much for your question. You put the bit there about you require sufficient access to childcare settings, and you asked the question, would classroom assistant experience be enough? And again, I've replied to your comment saying yes, kind of very possibly. And there's a bit there about the requirements are broad enough that wherever you are in your organisation and the system, so thinking about a classroom assistant, it could be a teacher, it could be a youth worker, it could be a childcare worker. Equally, it could be somebody more senior management level. The course is set up in a way that regardless of where you work in that organisation, you may be eligible to apply for it. That's a bit about entry requirements. Another important bit about fees.
Oh yes, the money.
So the fees. I guess you see the numbers for yourself. I think the point about kind of three important things to flag up here. One is the fee that's been quoted here. That's the fee for the entire programme. That's not just for year one. That's the fee for the entire 2-year part-time programme, which is excellent value for money for a 2-year master's programme. The bit at the bottom as well, which linking this into the Caring for Vulnerable Children course, if you complete the Caring for Vulnerable Children course and are evidence that, then if you successfully apply for the MSc, you're eligible for a 10% discount.
Brilliant.
Which that's a nice little carrot. Should anybody?
I know there's an incentive for you to make sure you finish the course.
Yes. Now that the application process, being an online course, unsurprisingly, the application process is all online, and you follow the link via the course page, and you will find the application process. And within your application, if you mention that you're doing and completing the Caring for Vulnerable Children course, then if you should be successful in your application and you get to the fees part, then we would pick up on the discount there. I guess the kind of reason why we're kind of making this link is that for the people that have come into the Caring for Vulnerable Children, perhaps doesn't feel like too big an assumption to think that they are confident and comfortable with online learning. The fact that they're choosing to do this programme. This is a part-time master's programme which would allow you to continue learning in this way over a much more elongated period of time, with a higher rate of demand. So there's no two ways about it.
Balancing your own work, life, family, and giving sufficient time to participate, not just in the online sessions, I presume, but all the course materials and reading that's online, but it does require time to absorb and digest and do that.
So there's no point in not flagging up the fact that kind of a master's level study on a part-time basis combined with work, either part or full-time, is a big demand, but it's an option that's there for many people, and kind of many students successfully achieve that. So we're coming to the end of this session. So again, to reinforce that there's different ways in which you can follow this up. If you've got any questions at all, we would kind of really kind of hear from you. So you can post further questions at the bottom of the page, the course page where this Google Hangout is, and I'll respond to them. Equally, on the page, go to the link where you kind of put the link for kind of further information, and we'll get back to you that way. Equally, you can go onto the University of Strathclyde website and kind of look at the course page there. Kind of my contact details are there, and we can follow up things from there. So if this is something that you might be interested in now, or at some point in the future, we do have a September 2015 intake, but at this point we're taking yearly intakes, so it needn't necessarily be first time round. And if it doesn't feel the right fit for you just now, then keep us in mind, and it might be something that you think about further down the line. Okay, but thanks for listening.
Thank you.